Alright, so Jurassic World Dominion is out now, and by the way, if you hear anything in the background, I don't know what that is, but it's been going off for the last hour, so, you know, need to record. You can probably hear it. It gets quieter and then it gets louder. I don't know what it is, but it has been annoying me for the past hour because I need to record my review, but it is what it is. I'll try not to make the review too long so you don't have to suffer through it. That being said, I really don't have a whole lot to say about this movie as it is. Um, I mean, I like it better than the last one, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I really did not like that movie. First Jurassic World was pretty good, and haven't seen The Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, so I've only seen the original and then the Jurassic World movies. This movie once again stars Chris Pratt as Owen Grady, Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire Dearing. We have the original cast of Jurassic Park coming back. Laura Dern as Ellie Sadler, Sam Neill as Alan Grant, Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm, and some other cast members here. We have DeWanda Wise as a new character, Kayla Watts, and Isabel Sermon as Maisie Lockwood, the granddaughter of, is it Richard Hammond from the original Jurassic Park movie? Yeah, we got introduced to her character in the last film, and it's an interesting one. They build upon that story a lot more in this movie. I won't be getting into too specifics. I'm not going to be doing a dedicated spoiler review for this film because I just don't think there's enough there to really spoil, to be honest. But yeah, her character I found surprisingly good. She's definitely the heart of the film, and she had some interesting things to do. I don't think the writing was top notch, but really wasn't top notch with any of these characters, to be completely honest. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard as Owen and Claire. They're basically like the parental figures rather, for Maisie, and they do enough in the movie to basically be the main stars, but it just cuts between a lot of different people. You have Maisie kind of on her own for a little bit. You have Owen and Claire on their own. You have Ellie and Alan on their own. And they all kind of come together. It's cool to see them all come together, but you're just kind of jumping around to, person to person. And that kind of brings me into my point of this film. This film is just very jumpy in general. It's fairly fast paced. It's fairly fast paced, which I don't necessarily hate, but fast paced is, geez, that's getting really loud. You guys have to hear that. It's been going on for the past hour, maybe hour and a half now, and it's the most annoying sound ever, and I have no idea what it is. And if I found the person making that noise, I would strangle them. But yeah, if you can't tell, I really hate when there's outside noises when I'm trying to record. But yeah, I have a lot of notes here. No huge spoilers or anything. Really, if there are any spoilers in this, it's just very minor and just kind of things to kind of fill you in on the plot. So things I'm talking about make somewhat sense. One note I have here, not a huge spoiler. It doesn't last very long, but they have a Minions short right before the movie starts. And, I was very much ready to watch the movie, and then you see the Minions come on screen, and you're just pissed off. I mean, some people might like them, and I won't lie, I kind of chuckled a little bit. I won't tell you what that little short is, but it lasts, like, maybe 15 to 20 seconds, so it wasn't horrible, but it's not what I wanted to see when the movie started. I was like, oh, God. But yeah, I'm very excited to see the new Minions movie, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, I wrote down here, it's good to see Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler, and then also Ian Malcolm all being reunited. Yeah, I mean, I love the first Jurassic Park, and I love all the characters. Sam Neill is great, Laura Dern is great, Jeff Goldblum is great. I mean, it's a great film. It's one of the greatest films of all time. And then I also wrote down here, I like Maisie in this movie for whatever reason. It's not like she was given the best writing, but she seemed to be the heart of the film at its core. And yeah, I mean, she's definitely the heart of the film. I can't necessarily tell you why she is, I guess, but I can tell you that she is. Yeah, I also wrote down here cool dinosaur scenes. Indeed, there were. There were a lot of cool dinosaur scenes. Um, but yeah, actually, I wanted to mention the jumpy comment that I made. I mean jumpy in terms of going between character to character and being very fast paced, and also jumpy in the way that this movie is filmed. I did sit in the front row of the IMAX theater because that's the only ticket I could get, and it was definitely hard to see things happening on screen. That could be just because I was right in front of the screen and I had to like move my head to be able to look at certain things. But yeah, the filming just felt really jumpy and like the editing and all that. So it made it hard to tell what was going on sometimes. I mean, you can kind of tell, but like, I don't know. I wish I was able to see more of it. So when they do more of those like kind of one shot type of things that I think they showed a few shots in the trailer of like a one shot, chase with a dinosaur. But those work for me really well. Any dinosaur scenes for the most part I think work pretty well. It's Jurassic World. If the dinosaur scenes don't do it for you, then the movie's doing something wrong. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to see more of the dinosaurs being in the mainland. Small spoiler alert there. They're not necessarily like this movie doesn't necessarily all take place like on mainland where dinosaurs are just free roaming. It doesn't. There is a sanctuary in this movie, and that's where a lot of the final set piece takes place, and it's fun enough. When I saw them go to that, I was like, okay, that makes sense. It would be cool to see them out in the world, but in terms of story, I guess it makes sense why this would be a thing, and I can't tell you specifics about that, but yeah, did not did not like how little we got to see of dinosaurs being in the real world. I mean, it opened up with that, but I just feel like we didn't quite see enough. Like we didn't even see the scene, small spoiler alert, that we saw in the trailers of the dinosaur interrupting the drive-in movie. Now that could have just been promotional, but I think that would have been kind of cool to see in the movie, seeing dinosaurs affect the regular day-to-day human world. You know, humans trying to coexist with the dinosaurs. I wanted to see more of that, and I feel like we just didn't get enough of it. And that's what this movie kind of promised based off of the setup of the last film. That being said, having dinosaurs with humans trying to coexist, that does raise a lot of issues, such as poachers, black market dealers, and you even have lots of victims of dinosaurs. So they do a decent job of showing the effect that dinosaurs and humans coexisting together is having on the world, which I like. That's basically what I wanted from this film, but that's just what we didn't get enough of. And, you know, I mean, that's what I wanted it to be. I mean, just because I want it to be something like with Obi-Wan Kenobi right now, I wanted this show to be different than what it is. But at the end of the day, it is literally what it is. So, I wanted more out of this film, and I wanted something not completely different, but different enough to like, I don't know, just make it a different movie in general. Did I want a different movie? Kind of, yeah. I mean, am I upset with what we got? Not necessarily. It's, like I said, better than the last film. Maybe not as good as Jurassic World, like the first one. I think if I had to put all the Jurassic Park movies I've seen in order, obviously got to do Jurassic Park first. Then you go Jurassic World Dominion, and then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But yeah, also thought I had when that Minion clip came up. I was like, of course, the movie has Minion in the title, so you have to include the Minions somehow. But yeah, you can tell. Really excited for Minions, but no. Yeah, I wrote this down here, wanted to see more of the dinosaurs in the human world. Yep, for sure. This movie, as opposed to the last two, seems to have a lot more practical dinosaur effects, which I love. That's one of the things I love about the first film is that even though those dinosaurs were made practically, they still felt really real. And that's just something I've always admired about that, and that's something I've always admired about practical effects, at least good ones. Like back in the day, back in the 80s, practical effects, some of them looked really great, and then some of them looked awful, but especially since like that T-Rex scene in Jurassic Park, the one where the kids are in the car or whatever, and the T-Rex breaks out. Like it helps that that scene was taking place at night, so you couldn't see as much of like the flaws, I guess, on the animatronic. But just stuff like that is the kind of stuff I love about practical effects. Like you can make it look so real, and then you can play these little tricks with your angles and your lighting to make things look even more real. And I really appreciate it when movies, especially nowadays, when movies go back to using somewhat practical effects. There's definitely a lot of CGI in this movie, but when it comes to the dinosaurs that are actually on the ground for the most part, I could tell there were definitely some practical effects used. And that even helps with the actors as well. Like there's a scene in here where there's a flipped car and a character is looking through the open windows at the jaw of the dinosaur coming down like that. And I'm pretty sure that was a practical effect. And that really helps the actors kind of get in the moment and like in a way almost feel scared themselves. It's like, oh my God, you have this actual dinosaur right here that you can see and almost touch, but don't touch it or else it'll bite your hand off. But it's stuff like that that I really love. Is it enough to save this movie from a so-so score? Not really. Overall, not a bad movie at all. Let me see if I have anything else to say. Lewis Dodgson, he's the villain of the movie here, played by Campbell Scott. The way I wrote this in my notes here, and no offense to the actor whatsoever, but I said Lewis Dodgson, in parentheses, the villain, is a little bitch. And he kind of is. Like, he's the kind of villain where it's just like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. That's literally just what he is. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, anytime anything happened with this character where he was either being snotty to another character or just doing something messed up that he shouldn't, you're just like, fuck you, dude. Yeah, he's easy to hate, I guess, but also just like he's kind of a little bitch. So again, nothing towards the actor, but that character, yeah, yeah. But let me see if I have anything else here. I said most likely going to be the last Jurassic Park movie. We'll see about that. I feel like this series makes too much money for them to just throw it out and be done with it. So maybe they'll take some time in between. Maybe they'll reboot it or something like that, or do a continuation with completely new characters and new actors. I can't imagine that this is the last we'll see of Jurassic Park on the big screen, but I could be wrong. We shall see what the future brings. But one last note that I wrote here that actually there's a couple here. Oh no, just one last thing. The dinosaur fights at times just feel mandatory because it's a Jurassic Park movie and you need to see dinosaurs fighting. And I said dinosaur fights feel mandatory rather than being a part of the story. And small spoiler alert, but this movie kind of ends the way a lot of the other Jurassic Park ends. A lot of the other Jurassic Park movies end. There you go. Where you have two dinosaurs fighting, essentially. And it added nothing to the story whatsoever. It was just like, oh, all right, well, they might as well fight. And that's kind of just it, man. Like, I don't know. I can't say it's disappointing because I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this movie, especially after how bad the last one was, in my opinion. But bringing back, like, Sam Neill and Laura Dern, and then having Jeff Goldblum, like, all three of them reunited, and then interacting with the newer characters that we got introduced to in the first Jurassic World, or as for Maisie in the second one, like, that should have been a lot cooler than it was. It was pretty cool. I won't lie. There were cool moments. Jeff Goldblum has some really great moments. Sam Neill obviously had some great moments. I love seeing Sam Neill and Laura Dern together. Overall, like, I think Sam Neill and Laura Dern, they didn't interact with Owen or Claire, right? Yeah, they didn't really interact with Chris Pratt or Bryce Dallas Howard's characters all too much. I would say Laura Dern probably interacted with Bryce Dallas Howard's character more than, she interacted with Chris Pratt's character, or more than Sam Neill interacted with him. But they did get some good interactions with Maisie, which, like I said, is the heart of the film here. So what am I going to give this movie? I think I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'm feeling pretty solid on that score. It's not a bad movie. It's not going to end up in my top 10 worst of this year, but it's not going to end up in my top 10 best. It's so-so, but like I said, better than the last one. Maybe not as good as the first Jurassic World, which I actually quite liked. But obviously none of these come close to the OG Jurassic Park because, I mean, that's such a great movie. How could you ever top that? And they've tried multiple times and have made a lot of money in the process, but just haven't quite done it for me. Maybe they've done it for other people, though. I wouldn't be surprised if some people like Jurassic World more than Jurassic Park. I mean, that's blasphemy, but, you know, your opinion is your opinion, so I will respect it. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Jurassic World Dominion. Decent film overall. Not too bad. Not too bad. Have you guys watched Jurassic World Dominion? Let me know down in the comments below telling me what you thought, and try not to spoil anything for those people out there who haven't watched it yet. I will be posting this on Friday, the day that the movie comes out. I watched it on Thursday. So just be fair to everybody else who hasn't had the time to go watch it yet. And also, please leave a like on the video and subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe. I need to get some more subscribers on this channel. But yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Pop Culture Podcast. For those of you listening on the podcast, I think I'm gonna head into Obi-Wan Kenobi for you guys with my with my review. So yeah, for those of you watching on YouTube, I'll see you in the next one. For those of you watching on the listening on the podcast, let's get to the last review.